let's look at this SAT prep question. So I have a triangle that looks like this, and we don't know any of the angle measures. We're told this is X and this is X. That gives us a little bit of information. At least we know this is an isosceles triangle. That is a triangle that has two angles that are the same measure, and it means they have two sides that are the same measure. So if this is 12, we know this is 12 also. But we're trying to find the cosine of X. Now, that would be pretty easy if we knew this was a right angle, but we don't know that. It's not marked, and so we can't assume that. That's one of the cool things about geometry and trigonometry that you need to know, is that if something's not marked, you shouldn't assume. That'll preach. You shouldn't assume a whole lot about anything. So if you're not explicitly told, it's not a good idea to assume, and that's certainly true here. So we cannot assume this is 90-degree angle. That would be just too easy. We're trying to find the cosine of X. So one of the things that, unless you've taken a geometry course recently or trigonometry or something like that, you probably wouldn't know this. And that is that if you have an isosceles triangle, then that means if you draw an altitude there, then of course this is a right angle. And the other thing is that it splits this base up into two equal parts. So that's 5 and that's 5. And now we do have a right triangle. So I could just deal with just that triangle right there, or this one right here. So I have a right triangle. So from the perspective of this angle, the cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So the cosine of X is 5 over 12. So remember, the sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. The cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and the tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. So from the perspective of X here, this is an opposite side. This is a hypotenuse because it's opposite the 90-degree angle, and this is an adjacent side. So cosine is the adjacent side compared with the hypotenuse, which makes this 5 over 12. The key here, what was it? Well, it was knowing that if you have an isosceles triangle and you draw an altitude down to the bottom like this, that it bisects this base side into two equal parts. And therefore you do have a right angle, because that's what an altitude is. It's drawn from the vertex and intersects the base in a perpendicular way, which makes it 90 degrees. Well, there you go. There's a college prep test question that isn't super simple. See ya.